A political veteran, a member of the Magic Circle, Lord Janner went to his grave pursued by those who claimed he abused them as children.
You said it was black and white, didn't you? You haven't a clue, have you?
I haven't a clue.
We've spoken to a man, one of 21 alleged victims, who says in the 70s the MP came to his children's home to do magic shows, afterwards taking children upstairs to undress and wash them.
You don't get grown men undressing children and kissing them, basically taking advantage of children like that. Obviously it was touchy-feely kind of stuff.
His hands were on you and you were naked?
Yes.
And you were how old?
About 11, 12.
How did it affect you?
It's mentally scarred me for life. I can never get rid of it, but I've got to learn to live with it.
At least 9 men were to have accused Lord Janner of child abuse here at the Old Bailey this year, but it's just been confirmed that his death means the criminal proceedings can't continue. Instead, the National Child Abuse Inquiry will take on the Janner case.
I am absolutely convinced she will hear them all in person, and I am very hopeful that findings of fact will come out.
We've discovered evidence that Greville Janner, as Leicester MP, regularly visited the city's children's homes and one of their managers.
The Beeches is no ordinary residential unit for difficult youngsters.
In 1981, the BBC filmed at this children's home, where the manager was Frank Beck. He promoted a technique called regression therapy. Difficult children would be treated like babies, but that allowed him to viciously abuse them. Frank Beck was a brutal and manipulative paedophile. Jailed for life in 1991, he died 3 years later.
You recognise that something's right or it's wrong.
Former detective Graham Peen reported Frank Beck in the late 70s after seeing him rubbing a boy's groin. But he was to make another visit to the Beeches.
As I walked in, sat in an armchair, was Greville Janner. Next to Greville Janner was this young boy. I thought that was a bit strange. What's an MP doing there, and what's a boy doing sitting on the arm of the chair? And he's actually been too tactile with the young boy, who's obviously in the care of the local authority. You know, to me it wasn't normal. Being a detective, it was an unusual occurrence, and therefore it's something that I felt that ought to be reported.
And what happened after you put the report in?
Well, I never heard anything more about it.
A second police officer also reported his concerns, the BBC's been told. We spoke to dozens of men and women who lived and worked in the children's homes. 8 identified the MP as one of Beck's regular visitors.
Greville Janner was one of them, definitely.
How can you be sure who that man was?
Because when I was 14, 15, I saw him in the papers, leaflets.
And what did people say about Janner in the home?
They were friends. Beck and Janner were friends. You know, he came to see Beck.
Is it possible that Beck could have kept what was going on at the homes from a friend of his?
Not a close friend, no. And they were close friends.
A former official at Leicestershire Council told us when he raised concerns about Frank Beck's methods, Beck said he had Greville Janner's support. Beck used Janner's name to achieve, he said, whatever Beck wanted to achieve. Yet, during Beck's trial, he and a former children's home resident sensationally accused Greville Janner of child abuse. Responding in the Commons, the MP didn't mention his visits to children's homes, but he did say this.
There was, of course, not a shred of truth in any of the allegations of criminal conduct made against me during the trial by Beck.
But there is now a thick file of allegations against the late Lord Janner. We understand at least 20 men and 1 woman have accused him. 12 at least are former residents of children's homes. 1 says he was forced to have sex with Greville Janner while staying overnight at a different home. There are claims of sexual abuse at locations including a school, a former swimming pool at this Leicester hotel, even the House of Commons. Prosecutors are understood to regard the allegations as serious and the evidence overwhelming. It stands in stark contrast to Lord Janner's public service, including work to remember the victims of Nazi death camps and decades as an MP. His family have steadfastly defended him as an entirely innocent man of great integrity.